In the 25th century, the galaxy was dominated by the Xylarian Coalition, a powerful alliance that had conquered hundreds of star systems, their influence stretching across Sector 7G of the Orion Expanse, their fleets moving like shadows among the stars, every planet under their control bowing to their rule. They believed their power was absolute, and no species could ever challenge their supremacy. The Coalition's High Council, a group of ancient and cunning aliens led by Admiral Zarvok, gathered on the bridge of the massive warship Dreadspire, discussing strategies to expand their influence even further. Zarvok's presence alone inspired fear across the fleet, his scales glinting under the dim red lights of the command deck, his eyes sharp and calculating. He reviewed the reports of conquered planets like Krillon Prime, where entire populations had been subdued with overwhelming firepower. Vortis Eing, known for its mining colonies, now serving the Xylarian war effort, and Zathara, whose scientists were forced to provide advanced technology for the Coalition's growing armada. Every victory fed their arrogance, each world conquered reinforcing their belief that no civilization could ever stand against them. They had fleets numbering in the thousands, each ship equipped with plasma cannons, energy shields, and advanced war engines capable of tearing through planets if necessary. Scout ships like Shadowwing patrolled the fringes of the sectors, reporting back on any new or emerging civilizations. Most worlds were too afraid even to send signals, knowing that detection could mean destruction. Yet the Sol system, a small blue planet, drew mild curiosity, though the Council dismissed it as insignificant. Humans were seen as primitive, their technological development slow and limited compared to Xylarian standards. Zarvok and his advisors joked about Earth, believing it posed no threat to their supremacy. The Council held debates about whether to send a small fleet to assert dominance, or simply observe from afar, confident that any contact would result in immediate surrender. The Xylarian Coalition's arrogance was further reinforced by centuries of uninterrupted expansion. No empire had ever challenged them. Internal rebellions were crushed before they could grow, and the very notion of defeat was foreign to their minds. Zarvok imagined the Sol system as another trophy, a minor addition to their growing collection of conquered worlds. He thought about sending the Dreadspire along with several cruisers to intimidate Earth's leaders, convinced that the humans would submit instantly. Meanwhile, officers on the bridge monitored star charts, plotting courses to unexplored regions, each star labeled with notes on its resources, defenses, and population. Every move the Coalition made was precise, calculated, and meant to reinforce their control. They were the masters of war, experts in strategy, and diplomats in manipulation. Their culture revolved around dominance, and failure was seen as the greatest dishonor. Zarvok recalled past victories, imagining the panic on each world's surface as the fleet arrived, populations kneeling or fleeing. Every success fueled their hubris, and there was no one in the galaxy who could oppose them effectively. Even among allied species within the Coalition, respect for Earth or any human effort was non-existent. Humans were discussed in dismissive tones, seen as curious but ultimately irrelevant. The Council members laughed over reports of human scientists attempting space experiments, mocking their limited fleets and primitive satellites. No one considered that the humans might develop something capable of challenging the Xylarian might. The Coalition's overconfidence blinded them to the potential of underestimated civilizations. They relied on history, on precedent, on their experience of total control, believing it would continue indefinitely. As the Dreadspire glided through the dark vacuum of space, its weapon systems glowing faintly, Zarvok contemplated the upcoming operations, imagining victory before any engagement. In every corner of Sector 7G, alarms could have gone unnoticed by smaller powers, yet none dared oppose the Xylarian rule. The arrogance of the Coalition was so complete that even whispers of rebellion or resistance were dismissed as fantasies. The bridge crew moved efficiently, executing commands without hesitation, each officer fully aware of the overwhelming power they served. The universe to them was a chessboard, with every planet, every fleet, every population as pieces to manipulate and control. Their ambition had no bounds, and they planned to stretch the Coalition's influence beyond the known galaxy, leaving a trail of conquered worlds and subjugated species. The Sol system was simply a tiny blue speck in this grand vision, unworthy of serious attention, a footnote in the story of their empire. This confidence, rooted in centuries of success and unmatched military might, set the stage for a confrontation they did not expect. Yet in their minds, the humans were nothing more than pawns waiting to be subdued. They did not see the seeds of challenge growing quietly on Earth, and their arrogance blinded them to the possibility that their supremacy could ever be questioned. The Dreadspire continued its silent journey, a symbol of fear and dominance, the ultimate weapon of a coalition that believed the galaxy belonged entirely to them. And nothing in their experience suggested otherwise. On Earth, far from the arrogance of the Xylarian coalition, humanity had been quietly preparing for a future that most of the galaxy could not imagine. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly inside Orbital Station Helix, a massive research facility hidden in the dense asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. The station's design was secretive, built to avoid detection from satellites or alien sensors. Every experiment, every blueprint, was classified, known only to a handful of military leaders and top scientists. The centerpiece of their preparations was the Battleship Titanus, a massive interstellar warship built with technology years ahead of what the rest of the galaxy assumed humans possessed. Titanus had a sleek hull designed for both speed and resilience, with energy shields capable of absorbing massive attacks. Railguns and plasma torpedoes lined its decks, ready to strike with deadly precision. Captain Elena Hayes, a veteran of space operations, commanded the ship, her leadership known for blending human ingenuity with tactical brilliance. She trained her crew rigorously, preparing them for scenarios that even the most experienced strategists could not predict. Every officer on Titanus was chosen for intelligence, courage, and adaptability. Humans had learned that strength alone would not guarantee survival in the galaxy, and every mission emphasized planning, coordination, and the ability to improvise. Meanwhile, Earth's leaders studied reports of alien movements, tracking the Xylarian fleets through intercepted transmissions and sensor data. They knew the coalition was powerful, but they also understood that arrogance often led to mistakes, and humanity intended to exploit every weakness. The construction of Titanus had taken decades, involving collaboration between nations and private industries. Engineers worked day and night, developing hyperdrive systems, stealth technology, and weaponry capable of competing with the best the galaxy had ever seen. Every piece of the ship was tested repeatedly, from its energy reactors to its advanced navigation systems, ensuring it could survive in hostile environments. The station's laboratories were a hive of activity, with scientists simulating battle scenarios, analyzing alien technology captured in previous encounters, and designing countermeasures that would give Titanus an edge. Artificial intelligence systems on board Titanus were programmed to assist in combat decisions, monitor threats, and manage complex ship operations, reducing human error and allowing the crew to focus on strategic decisions. Captain Hayes often walked the decks herself, speaking to engineers, reviewing training simulations, and ensuring that every crew member understood their role perfectly. She believed that preparation, discipline, and unity were humanity's greatest weapons, not just the firepower of the ship. In the meantime, Earth's intelligence services gathered data on the Xylarian coalition, analyzing their communication patterns, fleet structures, and past engagements. They discovered tendencies and weaknesses that could be exploited, and shared this information with Titanus's command. While the galaxy underestimated humans, the crew trained for the day when they would no longer be ignored. Every simulation was designed to push the limits of human creativity, forcing the crew to think faster, adapt to surprises, and act decisively under pressure. The station itself was a marvel, powered by fusion reactors and shielded by advanced energy fields, capable of surviving attacks that would destroy ordinary facilities. Scientists monitored space anomalies and hypothetical threats, designing strategies to ensure that Titanus could operate in any situation. The ship's stealth systems allowed it to move undetected, even when Xylarian scouts patrolled nearby, giving humans the element of surprise that was crucial against a far superior enemy. Communication networks were secured with unbreakable codes, ensuring that the coalition could not intercept plans or coordinate counterattacks. Humanity's focus on secrecy was total. because they knew that detection could mean disaster. Training drills aboard Titanus were intense, with the crew performing simulated battles, emergency evacuations, and coordinated attacks. Every officer learned to anticipate enemy movements, read patterns, and react with split-second decisions. The human strategy relied not only on technology, but on unpredictability, creativity, and daring, qualities often underestimated by alien species. Captain Hayes instilled confidence in her crew, teaching them that courage and intelligence could outweigh raw power. Titanus was more than a battleship. It was a symbol of human resilience, innovation, and determination. A weapon built not just to fight, but to show that humanity, once dismissed, could rise to meet any challenge. As the years passed, Titanus and its crew became ready, prepared to face the galaxy's greatest threat, their eyes set on a future where humans would no longer be ignored. The stage was set for a confrontation that would shock the Xylarian coalition and change the perception of Earth forever. Every calculation, every training exercise, every technological advancement was aimed at one goal: to prove that humanity could survive, adapt, and triumph in the vast, dangerous expanse of the stars. Scout ships from the Xylarian coalition, including the Shadow Wing and Iron Fang, silently approached the Sol system, their sleek hulls cutting through the void like deadly predators. Admiral Zarvok monitored their progress from the bridge of Dreadspire, confident that humanity would respond exactly as predicted. The coalition believed a simple show of force would compel the humans to surrender without a fight. The scout ships sent out standard warning signals, flashing red across Earth's orbital satellites, expecting immediate compliance. But humanity did not react with fear. They ignored the warnings, continuing their normal operations while secretly monitoring the alien fleet with advanced sensors. Titanus and its escort ships were already tracking every movement of the approaching Xylarian fleet. Calculations were precise, algorithms predicting every possible trajectory, every likely attack. Every sensor aboard Titanus scanned for weak points in the alien ships, identifying patterns in shield usage, weapon discharge intervals, and propulsion systems. Captain Alina Hayes and her officers analyzed the data, planning strategies that exploited even the smallest errors. The humans understood that underestimating the enemy was a mistake the coalition would soon make. Meanwhile, the Xylarian scouts were puzzled, expecting to see panic or surrender. Yet the humans appeared calm, almost indifferent. Their sensors detected the humans' advanced technology, but the true capabilities of Titanus remained hidden. A carefully concealed advantage. Admiral Zarvok assumed the humans were simply cautious, underestimating the threat. The scouts moved closer to Earth, attempting to provoke a reaction, firing minor warning volleys toward communication satellites, expecting the humans to either retaliate or submit. Instead, the humans activated their advanced tracking grids, registering every movement of the Xylarian ships with remarkable precision. Titanus calculated firing solutions for each target, analyzing the speed, shield strength, and weapon systems of the enemy. The humans understood that timing was crucial, that striking too early or too late could compromise their advantage. Back on the Dreadspire, Zarvok grew impatient. Confident that the humans were finally ready to beg for mercy, he ordered his fleet to maintain formation, planning to surround Earth's defenses and force an unconditional surrender. Shadow Wing and Iron Fang moved into optimal positions, expecting Titanus to reveal itself and falter under pressure. But Titanus did not move, its presence hidden by advanced cloaking technology. The humans waited for the perfect moment, ensuring that every shot would have maximum impact. Captain Hayes reviewed the crew's readiness, confirming that weapons, shields, and navigation were all operating at peak efficiency. Communications aboard Titanus were silent, preventing the aliens from intercepting any signals or anticipating human tactics. The Xylarian scouts began scanning for energy signatures, puzzled by the absence of expected responses. They detected nothing unusual from Earth's surface or orbit, yet sensors indicated some hidden anomaly. Something powerful was waiting, concealed from view. Admiral Zarvok considered launching a probe fleet to uncover the secret, underestimating the humans' preparation and ingenuity. Every member of Titanus's crew knew their role, from gunnery teams to navigators to tactical analysts. They had trained for decades for this moment, and every skill, every decision was sharpened for effectiveness. The humans understood the importance of psychological advantage, remaining calm and composed to make the alien fleet overconfident. Shadowwing and Ironfang, confident in their superiority, closed the distance to Earth, oblivious to the fact that Titanus had already mapped their weaknesses. The humans' calculations included every potential escape route, evasive maneuver, and counterattack, ensuring that no move by the Xylarian scouts could succeed. As the alien ships neared the edge of Earth's defenses, Titanus prepared to reveal itself, its cloaking field shimmering as it prepared for a hyperspace emergence. Captain Hayes gave final confirmation, signaling that the humans were ready to demonstrate their power. The Xylarian scouts, still arrogant, expected to intimidate a primitive species, unaware that the humans had anticipated their every move. Their assumptions, rooted in centuries of unchecked conquest, blinded them to the reality that Titanus was fully prepared to engage. The tension in space was palpable, a silent standoff where one side waited for the other to make a fatal mistake. Every crew member aboard Titanus held their position, focused and disciplined, knowing that the moment to strike would arrive in an instant, and that when it did, the galaxy would witness the true capability of humanity. The scouts continued their approach, unaware that the humans had turned their own calculations against them. Titanus's sensors locked onto every ship, every weak point, and every angle of attack, preparing to unleash a display of power that the Xylarian coalition would never forget. The humans had been underestimated, their readiness ignored, but now every element was in place for the first contact that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Suddenly, Titanus emerged from hyperspace jump point E42, its massive hull gleaming under the distant light of the sun. The Xylarian scouts froze, unable to comprehend the sudden appearance of a ship of such scale and technology. Sensors aboard Shadowwing and Ironfang detected energy signatures far beyond anything they had encountered. Their confidence faltered, confusion spreading among the alien crews. Titanus activated its advanced targeting systems. Scanning each alien ship with incredible precision, Captain Elena Hayes stood on the bridge, her eyes scanning tactical displays, issuing calm, precise commands. Every crew member knew their role, from gunnery to navigation to shield management. The humans had prepared for this moment for decades, every calculation and maneuver rehearsed countless times. Titanus fired its first salvo, plasma torpedoes streaking across space with blinding speed. Impact after impact disabled enemy shields and weapons. Shadowwing, the lead scout, shuddered under the precise attack, its hull breached in multiple locations. The humans' targeting systems had anticipated the exact position and movements of every enemy vessel, exploiting their blind spots and weaknesses. Admiral Zarvok stared in disbelief at his monitors, unable to comprehend how a species he had dismissed could strike with such accuracy. Orders were shouted across the Dreadspire bridge, but confusion and fear slowed their response. The other scout, Ironfang, attempted evasive maneuvers, but Titanus anticipated their escape patterns, launching energy nets and precision blasts that disabled engines without destroying the crew. Captain Hayes smiled faintly, knowing that the humans had shown restraint while proving their superiority. The alien fleet scrambled, desperately trying to regroup, but Titanus's advanced sensors tracked every ship, predicting maneuvers and countering them with calculated precision. Humans had studied Xylarian tactics extensively, learning from previous encounters and simulations. Every move the aliens made was already anticipated, turning their aggression into vulnerability. The sudden and overwhelming display of power sent shockwaves through the surrounding sectors. Transmissions intercepted by other alien fleets spread panic and disbelief. News of Titanus' firepower reached planets like Krillon Prime and Vortis Ein, shaking confidence in Xylarian invincibility. On the bridge of Titanus, crew members worked seamlessly, shield modulation, weapons charging, and propulsion adjustments synchronized perfectly. Captain Hayes coordinated these actions like a master conductor. Each shot from Titanus was calculated to disable, not destroy, demonstrating control and precision. The humans understood that overwhelming power was effective, but strategic superiority would leave a lasting impression. Admiral Zarvok ordered his ships to counterattack, firing plasma beams and energy cannons, but Titanus' shields absorbed the impact with ease. The humans had engineered defensive systems far beyond anything the coalition expected. Diverting energy, reinforcing weak points, and maintaining perfect stability. Even the most advanced Xylarian weapons caused minimal damage, increasing their disbelief and frustration. Titanus continued to advance, slowly encircling the scouts, preventing any escape. The humans demonstrated dominance without reckless destruction, each action precise and intimidating. Captain Hayes communicated with her officers using silent tactical codes, the crew responding instantly to adjustments in alien movements. The Xylarian scouts attempted to flee toward hyperspace corridors, but Titanus anticipated every exit route, cutting off their escape path systematically. The first salvo alone had disabled the lead scout, sending shock through the Coalition's command structure. Zarvok realized that the humans were no ordinary species, their strategic thinking and technology beyond anything he had imagined. Panic spread among the alien crews. Their overconfidence shattered by the sudden display of human might. Titanus fired a second salvo, targeting vital systems on Ironfang, disabling engines and weapons. The humans maintained calm discipline, ensuring minimal casualties while proving their superiority. Every maneuver Titanus executed was a lesson in tactical brilliance, exploiting enemy weaknesses and minimizing risk. Captain Hayes knew the real battle had only begun. But this first strike had demonstrated humanity's arrival on the galactic stage. News of the engagement spread silently, reaching nearby sectors and instilling fear and respect. The Xylarian coalition had underestimated Earth, and now the consequences were unavoidable. Titanus, fully revealed and fully armed, stood as a symbol of human ingenuity, resilience, and readiness. Every crew member aboard knew that this moment would be remembered across the galaxy. And the humans had just begun to show what they were capable of. The scouts, damaged and disoriented, fled back to warn the main fleet, carrying with them the knowledge that Earth was no longer a primitive planet, but a world with power and determination beyond imagination. News of Titanus' sudden and overwhelming power spread rapidly across the galaxy, reaching sectors like 9B Perseus Rift and 12C Lyra Expanse, where Xylarian allies and rival species alike struggled to comprehend what had occurred. Ships in orbit around planets like Krillon Prime, Vortis I Tanks, and Zathara paused, their crews whispering rumors and speculations. No one had ever seen a human ship capable of disabling Xylarian scouts so efficiently. The intelligence reports that reached the Xylarian High Council were filled with confusion and disbelief. Satellites and long-range sensors confirmed the scouts' destruction and damage, leaving no room for exaggeration. Admiral Zarvok faced his officers in shock, realizing that humanity had capabilities far beyond what they had calculated. The Coalition's overconfidence had led them to underestimate Earth, and now the consequences were becoming clear. Across nearby star systems, alien civilizations that had once been subjugated or feared the Xylarian fleets began to whisper in secret, questioning the Coalition's invincibility. Planets that had previously obeyed without question started reconsidering their loyalty, sending covert messages to each other, discussing alliances, and secretly preparing for potential upheaval. Humans, previously dismissed as primitive, had now demonstrated their ability to influence galactic power dynamics. The presence of Titanus had shifted the perception of Earth from an insignificant blue planet to a rising force in the stars. Military analysts across the galaxy studied the reports with a mix of fear and awe, noting the tactical precision, advanced shields, and superior firepower of Titanus. Even the Xylarian High Council had to acknowledge the tactical genius of Captain Elena Hayes, whose leadership had orchestrated the perfect first strike. The psychological impact of Titanus' emergence was immense. Leaders on other worlds realized that centuries of believing in Xylarian supremacy might have been a dangerous assumption. Citizens of smaller planets began secretly cheering for humans, viewing them as a symbol of resistance, hope, and the possibility that the galaxy's balance of power could shift. News channels and data networks intercepted transmissions from various sectors, detailing the efficiency and speed of Titanus' attack. Analysts compared the human strategies to known Xylarian tactics, noting that humans had anticipated moves that even veteran commanders would have missed. Intelligence agencies started sending probes and drones to observe Titanus, hoping to gather information about its technology. But the humans had anticipated surveillance, deploying stealth systems and decoys to maintain secrecy, Discussions within the Xylarian coalition turned frantic, with arguments erupting about how to respond. Some advocated for immediate retaliation, while others warned that attacking Titanus without understanding its full capabilities could be catastrophic. In the meantime, Earth's government monitored galactic communications, aware of the ripple effect Titanus had caused. Strategists calculated that humanity's demonstration of power had created opportunities for diplomacy, alliances, and deterrence. The crew of Titanus continued drills and simulations, knowing that the eyes of the galaxy were now on them. Any misstep could encourage enemies, but every successful maneuver strengthened humanity's reputation. Reports reached neutral sectors, where civilizations that had remained distant now considered establishing contact with Earth. Hoping to learn from humans or secure alliances, even planets under Xylarian influence began to subtly question their rulers, wondering if resistance or cooperation with Earth might be safer in the long term. Scientists and historians on Earth realized that humanity's emergence as a galactic power could alter the course of future history. Titanus was not just a warship, it was a message that humanity could no longer be ignored. Strategists analyzed every outcome, from total war to potential peace treaties, preparing for any eventuality. The psychological shockwave extended beyond military circles, influencing commerce, politics, and cultural exchanges across multiple systems. Propaganda from the Xylarian coalition attempted to downplay the humans' achievements, but intercepted messages and independent observations made it impossible to hide the truth. Citizens across the galaxy, from minor colonies to major urban worlds, discussed humanity's sudden rise. The story of Titanus became legendary almost instantly, a demonstration that intelligence, preparation, and courage could overcome perceived weakness. The Xylarian coalition realized that their centuries-long control of the galaxy was being challenged, and even their most loyal allies began to reconsider. Human diplomats prepared to leverage this newfound recognition, planning how to negotiate with caution and strength. Captain Hayes and her crew remained vigilant, knowing that demonstration of power alone was not enough. They understood that the galaxy would now watch every human move closely, calculating reactions and strategies. Titanus had become a symbol of hope, a warning, and a promise that humanity had arrived. The ripple effects of the first strike were only the beginning, and every corner of the galaxy now had to reconsider what it meant to underestimate Earth. The human victory in this initial encounter had changed perceptions, inspired awe, and shaken fear into civilizations that had never imagined a world like Earth could stand among the stars. The stage was set for an unprecedented shift in galactic politics, alliances, and warfare, and humanity's reputation as a rising power was solidifying with every intercepted report and observation. The galaxy had learned a lesson that it could not ignore. Earth and its battleship Titanus were forces to be reckoned with. Admiral Zarvok, furious at the unexpected defeat of his scouts, ordered the full Xylarian fleet to mobilize, deploying the Dreadspire, Ironfang, Void Reaper, and dozens of cruisers and destroyers. The coalition aimed to overwhelm Earth and destroy Titanus. The massive fleet advanced toward the Sol system, their weapons primed and energy shields glowing ominously. Titanus, supported by escort ships Vanguard and Resolute, waited silently, cloaked until the optimal moment. Captain Elena Hayes coordinated her crew, running through battle plans, simulations, and contingency measures. Every officer knew their role perfectly, ready to execute complex maneuvers in real time. The humans understood that brute force alone would not win. They relied on strategy, deception, and precise targeting to neutralize the enemy efficiently. As the Xylarian fleet approached, Titanus activated advanced sensor arrays, scanning for weak points in shields, engines, and weapon systems. The humans had anticipated standard Xylarian formations, mapping escape routes, likely attack vectors, and potential trap points. The first engagement began as Xylarian cruisers fired massive plasma volleys, expecting to crush the human ships instantly. Titanus and its escorts responded with synchronized countermeasures, deflecting attacks with advanced energy shields, while launching precision strikes on engines and weapon systems. The battle unfolded across the void of space like a deadly dance, each movement calculated, anticipating enemy reactions. Humans used decoy drones, holographic projections, and warp feints to confuse the Xylarian fleet, forcing them into mistakes. Shadowwing and Ironfang, previously scouts, now struggled to maintain formation as Titanus targeted their vulnerabilities, destroying engines, disabling weapons, and cutting off retreat paths. Zarvok's orders grew frantic as the humans exploited every weakness. Each Xylarian ship was engaged carefully, minimizing collateral damage while maximizing strategic impact. Titanus's hyper-advanced targeting systems tracked thousands of potential threats simultaneously, adjusting firepower and shield modulation in real time. Captain Hayes coordinated the crew with calm authority, issuing commands that synchronized attacks, evasive maneuvers, and defensive adaptations. Every officer executed their task flawlessly, proving decades of training and preparation. The humans' ability to predict the Coalition's movements created chaos among Xylarian ranks. Ships collided, shields overloaded, and some vessels were forced into emergency hyperspace jumps to survive. Yet Titanus and its escorts adapted instantly, cutting off escape routes and ensuring minimal enemy retreat. The battle was not just physical, but psychological, demonstrating human ingenuity, discipline, and tactical brilliance, causing panic among the Xylarian officers who had once believed in their absolute superiority. Meanwhile, Titanus utilized energy nets, tractor beams, and precision torpedoes to immobilize key enemy vessels without unnecessary destruction. Zarvok realized that traditional fleet tactics were failing, his overconfidence now a liability. He attempted to regroup the remaining ships, but Titanus anticipated the reorganization, launching preemptive strikes that disrupted formations and disabled command vessels. The humans had studied Xylarian behavior extensively, predicting likely maneuvers and countering them before execution. Every attack was calculated to weaken enemy capabilities while maintaining human strategic advantage. The scale of the battle was immense, energy beams streaking across space, explosions lighting distant planets, and the hum of engines resonating through the void. Yet Titanus maintained control, advancing methodically while preserving resources and minimizing risk. Captain Hayes demonstrated that leadership, intelligence, and preparation could outmatch superior numbers. Xylarian crews, accustomed to fear-induced obedience from conquered worlds, now faced opponents who matched or exceeded their skill. The humans' combination of technology, planning, and adaptability proved devastating. Even the most advanced Xylarian weapons were neutralized or avoided, their overwhelming firepower countered by Titanus's superior design and tactics. As the battle progressed, the humans gained momentum, systematically dismantling the fleet's offensive capacity. Each successful maneuver reinforced confidence and cohesion among Titanus's crew, while undermining morale in the Xylarian fleet. Zarvok's desperation grew, his earlier arrogance replaced by recognition of the humans' unexpected strength. The humans continued to exploit weaknesses, targeting supply lines, command ships, and vulnerable cruisers, ensuring the Coalition could not recover. Even elite Xylarian fighters found themselves outmatched, unable to anticipate human tactics. The engagement demonstrated that numbers alone did not guarantee victory, and disciplined, innovative strategy could defeat overwhelming force. Titanus emerged as the centerpiece of humanity's defense, a symbol of skill, preparation, and determination. The battle shifted the balance of power, shaking the Xylarian fleet's confidence and forcing a reevaluation of their assumptions. Every crew member aboard Titanus understood the significance of the engagement, their success proving that humans could stand against even the most formidable galactic empires. The clash concluded with the majority of Xylarian vessels disabled, retreating, or forced into surrender, marking the beginning of humanity's rise as a serious galactic power. The humans had not only survived, but demonstrated strategic superiority, leaving the Coalition stunned and reconsidering their approach toward Earth and its defenses. Titanus had proven that intelligence, coordination, and courage could overcome overwhelming numbers and technological might. Admiral Zarvok stared at the retreating Xylarian fleet, his confidence shaken for the first time in centuries. The Coalition's ships had suffered unexpected damage, and their strategies had been anticipated and countered by the humans. Panic and frustration spread across the command decks of Dreadspire and other vessels. Officers argued over what to do next, some urging immediate retaliation, while others feared further losses. The humans had proven that their technology and tactics were far superior to what the Xylarian Coalition had assumed, Captain Elena Hayes on Titanus monitored the battlefield, ensuring that the remaining alien ships could not regroup or escape unscathed. Humanity's advantage lay not only in firepower, but in preparation, coordination, and adaptability. Zarvok realized that brute force alone would not restore their dominance. The humans had forced the coalition into a position where negotiation, rather than aggression, might be their only viable option. Messages were sent through secure channels, requesting talks with the human commanders, hoping to preserve the coalition's reputation and salvage some measure of control. Captain Hayes reviewed the incoming communications carefully, analyzing intent, phrasing, and potential traps. The humans responded with firm terms, demanding recognition of Earth as a sovereign power and warning against further aggression. This stance shocked many Xylarian leaders, who had never encountered a species capable of asserting itself so confidently. Across the galaxy, planets under Xylarian influence began to take notice. Observers on Krillon Prime, Vortis Eim, and Zethara watched as the humans negotiated from a position of undeniable strength. The coalition's allies whispered among themselves, wondering if their loyalty had been misplaced. Humanity had demonstrated that even a relatively young species could challenge centuries of dominance if prepared and disciplined. Captain Hayes coordinated her crew to maintain vigilance, knowing that the coalition might attempt a deceptive attack under the guise of diplomacy. Titanus's shields were at maximum readiness, weapon systems primed but restrained, signaling that humans sought negotiation, not unnecessary destruction. Zarvok faced internal conflict, his pride wounded by the realization that humans were not only capable fighters, but also intelligent strategists. The Xylarian fleet had underestimated the psychological and tactical impact of Titanus, leading to a loss of cohesion and morale among their commanders. Humans had turned the tide without excessive bloodshed, demonstrating that calculated force paired with diplomacy could yield lasting respect and recognition. The discussions continued over hours, with each side carefully assessing the other's capabilities and intentions. Every move was measured, aware that any mistake could reignite the battle. Alien diplomats began sending envoys to Earth, proposing treaties, alliances, and trade agreements, cautiously acknowledging humanity's rising influence. Captain Hayes ensured that all communications emphasized mutual respect, security, and the potential benefits of cooperation rather than domination. This approach signaled to the galaxy that humans were both powerful and rational, capable of balancing strength with wisdom. Within Earth's orbital command centers, strategists monitored every response from Xylarian sectors, plotting long-term scenarios and contingency plans. Humans realized that this confrontation was only the first step in establishing their presence in galactic politics. The coalition's withdrawal marked a turning point. For the first time, Xylarian commanders hesitated to act without careful consideration. Their centuries of dominance had been shaken by a single human ship and its crew. Across nearby star systems, other civilizations took note. Recognizing that the balance of power could shift, and that aligning with or supporting Earth might be safer than relying solely on Xylarian protection, Titanus became a symbol representing not only human strength, but also strategy, discipline, and moral authority. The psychological effect on the Xylarian coalition was profound. Their arrogance tempered by the realization that even their most formidable weapons could be countered. Captain Hayes convened with her officers, reviewing the outcomes and ensuring that all crew members understood the significance of their actions. The victory was not merely physical, but diplomatic, demonstrating that humans could assert themselves without unnecessary destruction. As communications continued, subtle shifts in galactic politics became apparent. Planets previously under Xylarian control began reassessing alliances, questioning loyalty, and exploring potential partnerships with Earth. Humanity's rise was now undeniable, and the galaxy had to take notice. Titanus, standing ready in orbit, symbolized preparation, courage, and the ability to turn the tide against overwhelming odds. Every decision made by Captain Hayes and her crew had reinforced the message that Earth was no longer a passive planet, but a rising power capable of shaping the future of the stars. Zarvok and the Xylarian leaders were forced to reconsider centuries of assumptions, realizing that diplomacy and negotiation, rather than fear, would now guide their interactions with humanity. The confrontation had ended for the moment, but the implications were profound. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted, and humans had proven that intelligence, strategy, and courage could challenge even the most dominant empire. The Xylarian coalition retreated to Sector 7G, their fleet battered and morale shaken. Humanity had shown that even the most dominant forces in the galaxy could be challenged with preparation, strategy, and courage. Titanus remained in orbit around Earth, its hull gleaming as a symbol of human ingenuity and resilience. Captain Elena Hayes oversaw the crew as they conducted repairs, maintenance, and readiness drills, ensuring that the ship could respond instantly to any threat. Across the galaxy, word of the battle spread rapidly. The tale of Titanus' precision, power, and strategic brilliance became legendary, inspiring both fear and respect. On planets that had long been under Xylarian control, citizens whispered about humans, seeing them as a new symbol of hope and resistance. Diplomatic channels opened slowly as alien civilizations realized that Earth could not be ignored. Envoys arrived cautiously, offering alliances, trade, and information in exchange for cooperation and recognition. Humanity approached these interactions carefully, aware that trust would take time to build and that each negotiation required strength and foresight. The victory had altered galactic politics, shifting power balances that had remained unchallenged for centuries. Even Xylarian allies began to question their loyalty, analyzing whether continued obedience to the coalition was wise in light of human capabilities. Titanus became a beacon, representing not just military might, but also strategic discipline, intelligence, and unity. Captain Hayes and her officers ensured that every human action reflected the lessons learned from the engagement, demonstrating both strength and restraint. Earth's governments and command centers coordinated to expand surveillance, defense, and research, preparing for the next phase of humanity's emergence in the galaxy. Scientists continued to develop advanced technologies, knowing that the Xylarian coalition and other potential adversaries would soon study and attempt to counter human innovations. Yet, Titanus' success had bought time, allowing humans to advance cautiously while maintaining strategic advantage. Across multiple star systems, other civilizations began to view Earth as a rising power, considering alliances, exchanges, and shared defense initiatives. Humanity had transformed from a seemingly primitive species into a player whose presence demanded attention. Xylarian commanders, once confident in their supremacy, were forced to accept that brute force alone would no longer secure obedience. Diplomacy, caution, and respect now guided their decisions when interacting with Earth. Titanus remained ready, a constant reminder that humans could act decisively when challenged. Its crew continued training and simulations, each member understanding that preparedness, intelligence, and coordination were as important as weapons and shields. The psychological impact of humanity's emergence was profound, inspiring hope among oppressed planets, intimidating rivals, and reminding allies that strength and strategy were intertwined. Captain Hayes led her crew with a balance of authority, foresight, and calm confidence, ensuring that Earth's rise would be measured, disciplined, and respected. The battle had not only demonstrated technological superiority, but also strategic genius and human resilience. Across the galaxy, debates began among governments, military leaders, and scholars about how to interact with Earth. Realizing that a species once ignored could now shape political, economic, and military outcomes across multiple sectors, Titanus became a symbol of the human spirit, showing that intelligence, unity, and courage could overcome assumptions, arrogance, and centuries of dominance. Humanity now held a position that demanded recognition, forcing the Xylarian coalition to reconsider stricter strategies, alliances, and long-term goals. The lessons from the engagement were clear. Never underestimate a civilization that prepares carefully, adapts quickly, and acts decisively. Titanus and its crew represented that lesson perfectly, standing vigilant, ready to protect Earth and project human influence across the stars. The galaxy had witnessed a turning point, a moment when a single species rose to challenge centuries of dominance, reshaping perceptions, alliances, and the balance of power. Humanity's journey had only begun, but the foundation had been laid for a future where Earth would no longer be dismissed. The Xylarian coalition had retreated, yet the memory of Titanus' might would haunt them and others for decades. Across every corner of space, civilizations understood that Earth's emergence was a permanent change, and humans had proven that preparation, ingenuity, and courage could rewrite the rules of the galaxy. Titanus remained a beacon of that new reality, its presence ensuring that humanity's rise was undeniable, respected, and unstoppable. The story of the battle and the victory would be remembered as the moment the galaxy learned that Earth was no longer a minor player, but a force capable of shaping the stars.